And thank you very much to India Water Foundation for giving me this opportunity to moderate this session. We have a very esteemed panel of the experts here. On my left side, we have Madam Stuti Kakkar. She is Vice Chancellor of
No chancellor.
Chancellor, sorry, the Chancellor of Swami
Vivekanand
Vivekanand
Suvarti
Suvarti University in Meerut, and she is retired civil servant. On my right side, we have T.A. Wist. He is Chief Technical Advisor to IWF. And let me tell about myself also. I am A.K. Kesari, Professor in Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Delhi. So with this, I would like to now just know who are present in this event right now. So with me, we have a list from, so I'm just reading the name, so please raise your hand if you are available. Mr. Vishal Kumar Saxena, are you here? No? Dr. Himanshu Arora, yes, that's nice. Ms. Ankita Menon, yes, okay. And Mr. Harish Hingrami, no? And Dr. N.P. Singh, no? He is not here. Okay. Then Mr. Sonam Wadwan,
Some people are coming in. Maybe we should give it a few minutes.
Ms. Ashwina Sri Kumar, no. Okay. So I think we have then.
Just move up so that we are in one line of vision. आप लोग इधर आ जाओ.
Maybe.
I was supposed to chair the session. I wasn't a speaker. हाँ वही तो हम कह रहे हैं. He wants me to speak. I said मैं तो chair हूँ.
You can give some opening remarks or something. Yeah. Just.
Okay.
So that is what I was asking. Okay. So, okay, fine. So, let me start now because we have a few presenters right now, so we have enough time to deliberate. So, let me first of all request Madam Stuti Kakkar. She is chairing this session, and I would like to hear few words from her.
I wrote out something, but now I don't know how relevant it would be. But since I'm in the presence of very august people, actually I wanted to hear from these youngsters, because as we were hearing from the people, speakers in the plenary hall, that youngsters are not involved in conservation, preservation of water.
Yeah, please.
Rather than I hear myself speak, because I know what's in my thoughts, and I did disabilities, and for disabled people, sanitation is very important, because a lot of them do not have the means to, toilets are not disabled friendly. Of course, now you see them here and there, but toilets in the general run of things are not disabled friendly. We had to start this thing right from zero base, from a negativity. Why should the disabled need toilets? First question. No, first question was, where are the disabled? Secondly, why do they need toilets? Why do they need to work? But they have human rights as you and I have. So I thought ki when they have, so that's how I got connected with Water Foundation initially, because sanitation was a huge issue for people with disabilities. And now Dr. Arvind has expanded it to, cut across sectors. And recently, post-retirement, I am independent director on a company, the Sikkim Urja company. And you must have heard that the whole project got washed away because of GLOF, as it's called. And one never realized that, I mean, we had put in so much of effort to get that company going because it was a sick company, and I have this penchant for rehabilitation, industries or people, it's irrespective. Now, we had brought up this company, it was generating power so much which is required for the people of that area. Power is essential for any kind of development. And suddenly one day we just woke up and were told the project is not there anymore. So that's how, our lives are dependent on water. Our lives are so much intertwined with nature and nature's fury, I mean. Because this power plant was absolutely beautiful. It was the whole power plant, the water was carried by tunnels to this turbine, I think, and it's beneath the mountains. So the first thing I asked the engineers there, तुमने mountain से माफ़ी मांगी कि नहीं for burrowing under it? They said, हाँ हम लोग ने पूजा की थी, but I don't think that really worked. So that was, this conference I felt is so important, and unfortunately, the organizers have worked so hard. We held so many meetings, getting hold of the right people, connecting with them, that they come and talk about their sectors, put all information together in a way in a melting pot. Anyway, this is, as I said, my interest in the whole thing. And of course, as when you are in the field, you're all the time, in UP especially, you're having either a drought problem or you have a flood problem. So you're fighting it, and in fact, when I was SDM, we had the drought and the flood in the same area. So it was, water management is a huge, huge problem. Even in villages, people are not looking after their wells and their pokhras, as they say, the water bodies. There is so much of pollution, so much of insanitation, that it's scary on how people are actually, surviving there. Anyway, there used to be a big run for these water pumps, for getting the chapakals, as we used to call them, for getting the state tube wells working and providing water for irrigation. So water is so essential, and yet in some ways, the sort of lack of audience and I don't know what is the reason, probably the parliament session, the examinations, and or maybe the marriage sessions, marriage season, that is attributing it to it, but it needed a lot more people to come together and work on this issue. Anyway, I think I've taken a lot of time, so over to Dr. Kesri, Professor Kesri, who is actually the expert.
Thank you, Madam Astuti. This is certainly, all of us, we know that the water is a lifeline. It is not only that we need for drinking, but if you think of all kind of the development, whether it is agriculture, industry, or all kind of the economy, the whole thing is getting driven by the water. And if you see the environment, the ecosystem services, that is where also we need a certain amount of the flow in rivers and the water there, so that the biodiversity and the ecosystem can survive. So this is the today what we are discussing, as Madam has already pointed out, that about the event which had taken place in Sikkim, washing away the whole Tista Dam project, which was meant for generating the energy. And the hydropower energy is something, a kind of the renewable energy, and the Indian the economy or Indian energy is heavily dependent upon the hydropower. And whenever a hydropower project comes at any place, it brings not only energy, also brings a lot of development, a lot of the livelihood of for the people. So it basically the changes the whole landscape and the economic prosperity of the region. And certainly if some project fail, or this kind of the situation happen as it happened in Sikkim for the Tista project, this is going to raise certain issues or certain questions, and people are bound to think over it, that such kind of the events should not the again occur. So this was what we think in terms of the water, quantity of the water which is going to be available for various purpose, and for the hydropower generation. But on the other side, you also see the water is getting contaminated because of the pollution, whether that pollution comes from the domestic or the industrial or the agriculture. But there are many rivers in Delhi itself. We are sitting, and then we see the river Yamuna, which is in a very bad shape of the river health. So there is a need, or there is a time now, that the all stakeholders should integrate, come forward, make a combined united effort in restoring the rivers, restoring the water bodies, and also restoring the whole ecosystem services, which is very crucial for the any nation, for the economic prosperity or the livelihood. So with this, I would like to also get the feedback or the some kind of the few words from one of our colleague here, T.A. Bist, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon. When we talk about development and growth, so the first thing that comes to our mind is industrialization. Of course, we need development, we need industrialization, but there has to be a balance between the growth industries and the natural resources. On the one hand, we have got various kind of industries coming up, especially in the field of pharmaceuticals, chemicals. So they not only they give us opportunity for growth of the country, for employment generation, but at the same time it is causing great hazards to the environment. Our water is being polluted, air is being polluted. So all these issues are also there. So there has to be a mix of both these. In our student days, we used to read about, we had economics of growth. But nowadays, a new concept has come up in some countries, in some institutions. So they have got now economics of degrowth. Instead of unwieldy growth, we should have growth which is sustainable to the nature, sustainable to our environment. So all these issues should be taken care of. And in spite of all sort of progress and development, if we are not able to save our earth, save our nature, save our rivers, our air, so this type of growth is of no use. So I think we have got many experts here. They will throw more light on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. So, with these introductory words from our esteemed panels here, I would now, I'm going to invite the speakers. Today, the first speaker is going to be online. She is Ashwina Sri Kumar from University of Wollongong, Dubai. So, I request her now, you just introduce yourself as a one-liner, and then you can go with the presentation.
While they switch the presentation on, I think we need to get other people to introduce themselves. This is an opportunity of getting to know younger people.
There will be
But we are waiting for her to come on. So can we call next?
some connection issue? Okay. Okay, fine. So I think there is some connection problem right now. We'll be calling her again. So we are going to go with the next speaker. So we have Dr. Himanshu Arora. So I request him now to share your thought on this.
But
He is a
Himanshu
senior
at least
manager,
comes
sustainable development. from Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Yes, Dr. Himanshu.
No, Dr. Kesri, in case that lady comes on, then he'll have to stop.
No, no, no. She will be coming later after him.
Have they informed her?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Uh, Good morning, everyone. This is Himanshu Arora, and I am working as a Senior Manager Sustainable Development in Indian Oil Corporation Limited. And it's my privilege to be here, and all the esteemed members and who are sitting on the dais, Susti ma'am and Keshri sir, and also Bish sir. So I will just start with my presentation, which is on blue economy and how the hard to abate sector like refineries can contribute in blue economy and help this planet sustain more sustainably. So if presentation can be connected. Yeah. So, since I'm working in a hard to abate sector and one of the largest public sector company and also the largest refineries of India, so it is very important to actually connect that how they can contribute in the nature-based solutions and also how they can contribute in a blue economy. Like this conference is about water, and there lot of discussion about how water can be a subject and how it can be connected with the economy and nature, and it makes great important for now because there is a lot of stakeholder pressure on fossil fuel companies. We must have seen in COP29 recently. The activism of stakeholders has increased incredibly over the years, and now the pressure of performing, reporting, and also implementing at a ground level has become utmost important now. So just to set up a context, this is about how we have changed over a time and how our economy has been growing and how globally how these are different things happening around us. So when the COVID-19 came, it was just like that, wash your hands and let this time pass, and this is, if we will sustain this, our life would be much better at the current time, and it was nothing else would visible to us at that time. It was like only sustaining and this phase of the life. But later on, when recession came because of the COVID-19 effect, and it's a cyclic event, and it coincided after COVID-19, then we are praying globally that let this phase pass, and after that it would be settled and we will be more happier in a more happier world or a better place. But the hidden wave which was coming and which is there today is the climate change. And we have not actually noticed that it is a much bigger wave with a serious impact which may or may not be visible, and the impact may not be studied or not studied. So it's a different phenomena. And in the conference of this water, where we are talking about nexus between different agenda, energy, water, food, and different perspective are being put on. It is very important to understand that how climate change has impacted us and how it is going to affect us in our business, in our personal life, and also at a policy level. So just to put up a context in this word, like in Paris Agreement, we set up a target of 1.5 degree. And as per the latest data, probably in December we'll cross 1.5 degree right now. And that was a 1.5 degree for 2050, but and in 2024 we are already on the verge of crossing 1.5 degree agreement. And there is a lot of gap is increasing between what is expected and what we are doing right now. And it is estimated that if we go by current pathway of our emission, by 2030 we'll increase our emission by 10%. And as per latest IPCC report, it was expected to at least decrease by 45% by 2030 the global emission. So we are not doing in the same direction, we are going in the reverse direction. So the climate change problem is going to here stay, and already there is a lot of report by Stockholm Resilience Center where we have already crossed 6 tipping points. Tipping point means it's irreversible changes has already been happened right now in our earth. So it's a very tough time for for us right now. And since the activism has increased and there is a lot of pressure on all the companies, Paris Agreement is there, so there is also a lot of things happening which is on a positive side. So many countries have taken a net zero target. So uh, this is a result of because countries have also pledged net zero target. India has taken in COP26 in Poland a net zero target of 2070. So and China has taken a 2060. Other and all other developed nation has taken a target of 2050 in alignment with Paris Agreement. So already net zero target is there, and there is a lot of changes policy making. If see at a positive side, there is a lot of policy implementation happening. There is a PLI scheme on clean energy, solar, hydrogen, and there is a policy of waste management, Swachh Bharat. A lot of CBG plants are happening, and a lot of green hydrogen initiatives are happening. Renewable energy is already pushed, and we are among the leaders. So this is a positive sign which is happening globally. Now, just to put up in nature, connecting nature with the economy. So if we see, there is a around 2.4 billion number of people would be affected by agriculture, land and food and water scarcity, and 1 million people 1 million species would be or on a risk of extinction, and there is around 2,50,000 mortality is per annually would happen per if the climate change would remain at the same level. And if we see sea level rise data, so in last 90 years the sea level has increased has opened 13.5 centimeter, but in last 25 years 9 centimeter has already increased. So the exponential rise in the effect of the climate change has already started happening, and climate refugee and the climate problem because of the environmental problem has already there, and there's a people migration not across the boundary of the countries but within a country also. So people are also migrating from one state to another because of not habitated or affected by the climate change. And there is an increase in extreme weather events. So around it is expected 14% of Earth population would face severe heat waves during this time. So and the financial impact if we are on the rise of it is expected that our temperature would increase by 2.8 degree if we go in the same direction right now which is happening. So if the same temperature rise increases, then global economic loss would be as much as $178 trillion by 2070. It's a cumulative loss. And if we are connecting with the nature with economy, and it is expected alone Asia Pacific, it is 96 trillion US dollar which is loss going to happen. And if we connect with the GDP, it is around 16 trillion dollar US dollar. So India is making a plan to be a $5 trillion economy, and we can see that already the cumulative loss is $16 trillion by 2070. So that has we can imagine that at least at size of right now the China economy or the $5 trillion economy which we are expecting, it will be impact. So now we are in the verge of triple crisis, where the climate crisis is happening, and we are noticing it, plus biodiversity and nature crisis, and again it is complemented by pollution and waste crisis. So we cannot name a thing where crisis is not happening related to the nature. And water, as we said, water is a life, and Jali Jeevan hai. So if we put a nexus between all these things, water is constant. Water is related to each one of us. It is related to climate crisis. It is related to biodiversity and nature crisis, and it is also related to pollution and waste crisis. And what are the impact? It is ocean and the carbon cycle, acidification in the sea, warming happening at a sea level, temperature of the sea is increasing, biodiversity loss within our water bodies, habitat destruction, coastal pollution, and there are dead zones where many a time even our most holy river also become a dead zone for fisheries or animal habitat to survive. So if we see the blue economy and relate the blue economy, that how much potential the blue economy has, and if we able to relate it with the climate change, we can see around 70% of the world is covered by the ocean. Major industries, even the agriculture is purely dependent on it. 80% of the life on the planet is related to the ocean and supported by the ecosystem, supported by the oceans. And if we estimate the economy right now, it is around $2.5 trillion economy per annum, where goods and services which we are trading right now. And if we see by GDP, it is around the seventh largest. If we take it as a country, it is the seventh largest country, which is ocean, which is giving resources to us. If we take a economy, how much fisheries, how much ecosystem services we are using from the oceans. Now, these are all the relevant sectors which are right now related with the blue economy: fishery and aquaculture, maritime transport, shipbuilding and repair, ports, coastal tourism, offshore renewables, offshore oil and gas, marine biotechnology, desalination, marine minerals, land waste management, upstream industry and agriculture. So even if we see our life from morning to night before we sleep, we'll see we are interrelated with one of these sectors anyhow, directly or indirectly. So no part of our life is untouched by the blue economy, and we are somehow directly related or indirectly related with this. So just going through and understanding that how we are related with the blue economy and how we are related with the oceans, and impacts, risk and opportunities, what are there. So there are a lot of ecosystem component which are directly we are taking as a service. So ecosystem services are basically habitat, ecosystem, biodiversity, migration and spanning. So if we go through habitat, coral reefs, seagrass, mangroves, these are the part of the ecosystem of the ocean ecosystem habitat. And mellopelagic and deep sea, it means up to 1000 meters it's mellopelagic, and deep sea more than 1000 meters. And also biodiversity, it's a Shannon index and red list species. So red list species we are already aware, it's IOC, and where endangered species are marked. And Shannon index is how much diversity in the biodiversity is there. So it is also important that all the equal representation of all the species in the ocean is there. And human pressure, if we see offshore wind, shipping, oil and gas, coastal activities, aquaculture, these are major sectors which are putting pressure on ocean. And I will be focusing, as per my study, I will be focusing on the oil and gas sector. And there are sensitivity analysis. If we increase pressure by 5%, 10%, that how much is the impact and how much it is going to affect us. So I am covering basically the refineries. So refineries, if we know, like basically we use mobility, and even at our home we are using gas, LPG, or petrol, diesel, or there are different directly or indirectly we are related. Even if we are using plastic right now, so by if you are driving by car, automobile vehicle, these are also have a plastic element. Even your mobile has a plastic element. So first of all, the sector has a utmost importance in terms of energy security. Right now we are already seeing there is a lot of geopolitical issues which are happening. Ukraine war or the Israel-Iran conflict. So the energy security is right now very important for the country to present its resources and to support your economy. And these are playing very important role in our energy security and also economic growth. These are very important platform for putting economic growth and for giving the employment to the people, and also energy availability, and these are the strategic assets. So whenever we are in a crisis, like if there is a conflict or fuel supply is affected, these are the companies or these are the entities which stand along with the people to provide the continuous supply of fuel so that the country keeps running. Even it's affected by the climate change in terms of war and or local effects or recession or anything. So I have just gone through, taken the data from annual report of MOPNG. So we have a refining capacity of 256 MMTPA. And if I have located all the refineries which are at a coastal areas. So we found that around 80% of our capacity of our refineries are in a coastal areas. So they are directly or indirectly impacting or part of the blue economy. So they have a major role or significant role to play in uh, in contributing to the blue economy, or to understand the risk, the climate risk which are coming from the climate change or from the ocean or from the water sector. So it is very important for them. So basically all the companies including IOCL, HPCL, BPCL, CPCL, ONGC, Reliance and Nayara Energy all have some assets near to the sea. So it is very important for these companies and for this sector to acknowledge the risk and opportunities, how they can contribute into the blue economy. So just I have taken a global, not related to India, just I have taken a global news screenshot of the news which is happening, and how these assets at the coastal or their operations at a coastal is affecting the biodiversity or the ocean sector or the life at the ocean sector. So the cargo which was carrying the oil, it got sink in the Red Sea. So the coral reef has been affected, and oil spill from Venezuela refinery has contaminated the Caribbean Sea. So there is a loss of habitat for the species and also the pollution. And there is a new study which found that after the famous deep water horizon oil spill by ExxonMobil, the hormone level in the sea species in that area have changed over the future generation. So it has a generational effect, like a nuclear as a effect over the generational thing. And there is a study that there, like Mauritius must protect vulnerable coastal communities from the effect of the oil spill. So the communities at a coastal is also getting affected. And oil spill to kingfisher die and time to clean beaches. So these are the regular news which we are keep on doing when because of the operations of the oil companies. Now these companies have a risk also which is coming from the ocean sector. I was in the earlier slide, I was talking the impact of the operations on the ocean sector. Now I'm talking about the risk from the climate change or the water bodies or the blue economy to these companies, how they can impact the operation of these company and can impact the economy and the energy security of the country. So there are physical risks. The climate change impact like storm, flood, and tsunami can come if they have not adopted or mitigated their the impact. There is a operational issue. The supply chain issue can happen if their supply chain is at a coastal level and near the water bodies, and anything happening to their supply chain is impacted by their bodies. So the refinery or anything can be shut down. The supply chain can be impacted. There is a market risk. So if because of the climate change, there is a shift in demand. Like these time, there is a lot of heat waves, and there is an advisory from the government of India to stop school during that time, and work from home was promoted. So all the operations were reduced because of the climate change impact, and their supply was impacted. Similarly, at a level right now in winters, the pollution level increases. Again, the supply of these fuel has decreased because of the increased restriction of the GRAP, which is happening in Delhi right now. And there is a regulatory issue. So there is a stakeholder activism increasing. So there is a high chances that regulatory will become more stringent, and there is we have been observing there is a increase in the ESG frameworks, and also there is a lot of pollution control activities which are coming in the terms of regulation. And there is a reputational risk, and since these companies are very or these assets are very important part of India economy, so it's become very tough for these companies if they don't take proactive measures against the climate change. It would be a reputational risk if they are fail or the oil spill happens or the community or the biodiversity is impacted. Now, again, how the blue economy has been impacted by the refining sector. So I have taken into two category as per task force on nature related financial disclosures. So it's a international framework, and ENCORE tool I have used it to map how the impact on water bodies has been done by different activities. So one of the activities is ecosystem services. So what are the ecosystem services which we are taking from the blue economy or the sector, ocean sector? It's a direct physical input. So we are the companies or the assets has been taking the groundwater and the surface water. So this is between low to medium, the impact. And in the process, water quality is impacted. The impact is again low. If we go to the protection from disruption, so if any disruption happens on these services, so flood and storm protection is very important. Now there are high chance with the water level increase that the storm or the flood will come. And in Paradeep, one of the Indian oil assets refinery, there is a lot of storm coming these days, and it has increased significantly. And because of that, sometimes even there is a operations have to be impacted. So it is very important for these assets to note down the climate risk and then started taking the mitigation and adaptation measures. And in terms of drivers of nature change, land, freshwater, and ocean use charge. So land ecosystem use is high. So these assets are using land ecosystem which is at a high level, and it directly or indirectly it is impacting the usability of the land. So we have to start taking measure if in a future time these operations have to be minimized because of the climate change or the demand decreases. How we optimally in the environmental sensitive way we can use the land of these these resources. And pollution level, one of the highest integration of non-GHG air pollutants. So the pollution is increasing, and this is very important, and it is of high impact. And resource use and replacement. So water use is very high, and we can see in this study. So again, these are the impacts which are happening, environmental impact. So loss of reduction in marine biodiversity, including loss of endangered, threatened, and protected species, and loss of ecosystem resilience and ecosystem services, and loss or degradation of coastal and marine habitat, reduction in animal welfare, and changes to marine biological, chemical, and geological cycles. And similarly, in social impact, we have violation of human rights, including rights of indigenous communities, reduction or loss of access to sustainable and inclusive livelihoods, increased likelihoods of injury, disease, and loss of life because of the operations, and economic damage and loss of productivity. So these are the indicators. In the next slide, I have linked this with the impact, all these impacts. So we can see the disruption to wildlife is creating the impact of the marine biodiversity, and one of the most which is prominent is the pollution and the water contamination, which is impacting all the criteria of marine biodiversity. So the oil spills are the worst form of impact which any these operations can do. And the second is accidental oil spills or seabed disturbance because of the operations. And the air pollutions are increasing because of the SOx, NOx, and the GHG emission. Locally, that is also being affected. Now, I'm coming to the how these companies can contribute and how they can measure their impact. So, till then it was talking about the impact. Now it becomes very important to talk about how these companies can make an impact. So biodiversity and target and progress, all these companies can make and see how they are impacting. Water practices and management, capital allocated to biodiversity, expansion into exploration or petrochemical or mining, they can introspect and see whether it is necessary or not, and controlling hydrocarbon spills. So these are the important KPIs or the factors which the companies start looking to see how they are impacting the blue economy, and they should start reporting into their ESG disclosures so that all the stakeholders and the policymakers should be aware of that how much impacting we are doing to the blue economy. And I have covered the different companies and upstream, downstream gas and the ecosystem and how they are net zero target. So basically, ONGC has a net zero target of 2038, 2040, 2046. BPCL has a 2040, HPCL 2040, GAIL has 2040, and Indian Oil has 2046. So why I am covering this point is that all these companies are hard to abate sector, and they have to mitigate their impact on biodiversity through tree plantation or carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Now, it is very important to consider the nature-based solution as their solution, and they already have to map a plan. And when they are mapping out the plan, since 80% of all the refineries are near the coastal zone, it is very important to consider investing in a blue economy. So to sequester their carbon emission, tree plantation, if they are planning nature-based solution, so they have to consider the blue economy, investing in a blue economy, because it has a climate mitigation potential, environmental advantages, ecosystem benefits, and sustainable use of marine resources, plus economic and social impacts are also there. And if you can see in the Indian map, so all the blue economy parts like mangrove, seagrass, and salt marsh, they are all available, and it's a definitive potential of taking care of these natural resources, so that the mitigation can be fast tracked. And if we compare with the blue economy, mangroves, tidal trash, and seagrass, they have at least 4 to 6 times more sequestration potential than a normal tree planted at a land. So it means if these companies started investing in the blue economy, since their operations are also near the sea, it would give a exponential result by investing in the same sector, and also help in carbon mitigation and sequestration, and achieve their net zero target, because they are hard to abate. They have to invest in these tree plantation, and there is a lot of scientific study even done by UN and the World Bank, which shows that it's 4 times more effective investing in the mangroves. And if the companies are not able to do it because of the not having the resources, the carbon market is emerging in India. So we can see that 40% of the share are from natural based solutions in carbon market. It means they can also invest in the carbon credits emerging from the carbon credits which are already invested into the nature based solution, and directly or indirectly into the nature based system. And lastly, I would just want to focus on how this can be done, what are the pathways. So they can integrate their CSR activities with the blue economy. So already they are investing a lot of money into their CSR activities. So these CSR activities can be aligned into the coastal activities and in the restoration and protection of marine life. Carbon offsetting goals can be aligned with the net zero goals, and they can integrate blue economy or the carbon sequestration from mangroves into their net zero goals. Collaborative research with the academic and the NGOs and different institutions can be done, that how it can be enhanced at a different capacity. Resilience building, they can participate in developing blue carbon ecosystem. And also most importantly, they have to include their all these impact into their sustainability reporting, so that they can start taking measure, because once it is not measured and shared with the stakeholders, the adaptation and mitigation measures has also become difficult to share with the different stakeholders. And finally, it's a community engagement, so that it becomes an inclusive development. And that's all. Thank you so much, all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Himanshu. It was a wonderful presentation from your side, and really it was a enlightening up for us that how you have related your blue economy with the climate change or the climate linkages, and how that is going to have impact on the biodiversity, and what could be the pathway for reducing some of the carbon footprint and also the carbon sequestration, and how the industry can participate and come forward to make use of the blue economy in solving some of the climate problems and environmental problems. So thank you very much. Any question from the audience? We'll have a very short question if anybody is having. Otherwise, you will move to the next speaker. Oh, okay, no question right now. So thank you very much, Dr. Himanshu. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Himanshu. It was a very well done presentation. You should really go around all these companies and giving this presentation to them.
I hope so, ma'am.
Thank
We had to do that for initiating the CSR concept when I was in DP. So the only way to advocate something is to go and talk to people. And hopefully you convince them.
I will try, ma'am. Thank you.
So, do we have the speaker Ashwina Sri Kumar ready? Okay, she's ready. Fine. So we are going to have now the Ashwina Sri Kumar. She is from University of Wollongong, Dubai, and she is going to present now online.
That sounds very much like an Australian name.
The university is Australian. Yeah.
The campus.
campus. They have campus in Dubai, but
अच्छा, good, good,
university
good.
is Australia.
Now we can also have campuses all over.
Yeah.
मिल गया ना permission?
हाँ. So we have now one Dubai, IIT
IT
Delhi,
में तो
Abu
सब कोई
Dhabi,
demand करता रहता है.
and IIT Madras has also opened one.
In Dubai.
No, not Dubai. In probably in South Africa, some Tanzania.
IIT की तो बहुत बड़ी demand है.
National Forensic Science University in Gandhinagar. It has got campus in Uganda and Namibia and few other countries.
Okay.
Migration का सबसे बड़ा problem comes at the community level, you know. Children get trafficked, lost when families migrate, and of course the loss of education is always there. So you're losing out on very valuable human resource. And these children, a lot of missing children are never really found. Technology fails you whenever you need technology. हमें तो I can't. You know, all these doors which have these systems of wireless systems and all, they never open whenever I get these keys.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes. Yes. Hi. Yeah.
But
Fine. Fine.
hi,
So you please go ahead. We are eager to hear you.
sure.
Yeah.
But I'm not able to share my screen. I really don't know why.
Oh, do you have the sharing authority? Did you get the
No.
from the administration? So are you able to see the button for the sharing?
Yes, I did, but let me just check again.
So you just
Um,
do again. You share the whole windows. It will come.
but it says the host disable attendee screen sharing. I don't know why it says that.
Oh, so they have not given permission. Raju, can you see there inside whether they have given permission to share or not? You just go back in the back. Huh? Enable. Yes, uh, Madam Ashwina Shri Kumar, they have given you the permission now, so you can
Okay,
now get the button for the sharing. You just click there and then share the whole window. It will get connected.
okay.
अरे डांट के बोलो, sharing हो जाएगी.
So you have now enabled, na? So are you able to see these
Yes.
share? Yes. So just click there and then share the window. It will come something, some screen, so you have to pick up the windows, full windows.
Um,
देख पा रहे हो यहाँ से? क्या प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, देख पा रहे हो यहाँ से? नहीं.
I'm sorry, there is a technical issue, I think.
Maybe then you can again restart something.
Sure.
उसको off
Just a
करके फिर
second.
re-enter करो.
I think there is a security issue. Just a second.
खैर कोई बात नहीं, let her speak, we hear the audio, all right.
If you are interested to continue with the audio, that is fine. We are able to hear you.
Okay, okay, sure, no problem. Thank you. Mm,
No, not now.
okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the technical issue there. Somehow my laptop is not allowing me to present, so I'm really sorry about that.
Okay.
So my name is Ashwina Sri Kumar, and I'm a tutor of international relations in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at the University of Wollongong in Dubai. So today my topic of presentation will be ecosystem restoration, the way forward. So my presentation intends to investigate whether the current legal and policy framework existing in countries is adequate to address the challenges of ecosystem restoration using the examples of countries like Bolivia, Vietnam, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So initially I planned on including a lot of other countries, but due to time constraints, I'll be focusing on just Bolivia, Vietnam, and the DRC. So the research that I'll be presenting today was done when I was an intern at the G20 Global Land Initiative UNCCD, and I got introduced to the importance of ecosystem restoration. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank the G20 Global Land Initiative, the director Dr. Murli Tumarukuri, and research associate Ms. Devashri for all the support and guidance for this research. So first, I'll be giving a short introduction to ecosystem restoration. Then I'll be moving on to the case studies of Bolivia, Vietnam, Democratic Republic of Congo, and then some inferences from the study and few recommendations as well. So the UNEP has come up with this very interesting statistic that we need 1.6 Earths to sustain our lives, eat and grow our economies, which means that we would be losing our ecosystems and species in the coming decades if we do not act now. So aware of the need to protect our critical ecosystems, the United Nations General Assembly declared 2021 to 2030 as the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So basically, ecosystem restoration is the process of halting and reversing degradation so that we get improved ecosystem services and recovered biodiversity. So in very simple terms, ecosystem restoration is important, especially in today's era, so that we can ensure food security, we can improve the health and well-being of people, improve the economic condition of communities depending upon land, and last but not least, which is very important, meet the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. So basically, we have 10 principles that underline the implementation of ecosystem restoration, which I won't be going into a lot of detail. We need to focus on one principle, which is the policy integration aspect of it. So just for like a short introduction about the countries that I'm going to talk about, first, which is Bolivia. So Bolivia is a country that is located in South America. And why this is very important? Because it hosts around 40% of the world's biological diversity. But still, this is a country that faces a lot of threats due to deforestation, land degradation, soil erosion, and forest fires. So if you check its international commitments, you can see that it is ratified the UNFCCC, it has ratified the UNCCD, it has established the Ministry of Environment and Water in 2009, and it has established the Plurinational Authority of Mother Earth in 2015, which is a very important organization to promote the consolidation of territorial processes and holistic management of forests and productive systems with a focus on mitigation and adaptation to climate change. And also you can see that it has a lot of rules and regulations that the country has released, like for instance, the Mother Earth Law and Integrated Development to Live Well, the Joint Mitigation and Adaptation Mechanism for Comprehensive and Sustainable Management of Forests and Mother Earth, and the Indigenous Program Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. But despite all these organizations, despite the institutional setup, despite the legislation, Bolivia is still facing a lot of threat. Only this year, due to forest fires, a lot of forests of Bolivia has been destroyed. So you can clearly see that something is not working, right? Despite all the organizations, despite the fact that it's committed to restore its ecosystem, still its forests are being destroyed. So similarly, if you go to the case of Vietnam, Vietnam, again, it's located in Asia. It's one of the 20 most biodiverse countries in the world, and it has a combination of tropical and climate zone and temperate climate zone. So despite the fact that Vietnam has 21 million hectares of agricultural forest land, 7.55 million hectares have been severely affected by degradation. And again, if you check its international policy commitments, you can see that it has ratified Ramsar Convention, it has ratified UNCCD, it also has a Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, it has ratified the UNFCCC, it has even ratified the Climate Paris Agreement. And you can also see that it has a couple of legislations in place, like the Vietnam National Biodiversity Strategy 2020, the National Action Plan for the implementation of the 2030 Sustainable Agenda. You can also see that it has something called Payments for Forest Environmental Services, which is a framework to calculate payments for the forest hydrological services and forest carbon sequestration services linked to the UN REDD+ scheme. So you can see that despite all these, again, barriers still exist for ecosystem restoration in Vietnam. So studies have concluded that the expansion of agricultural land, increasing population growth, and the need to ensure food security and lack of effective governance have influenced forest degradation. You can also see that oil pollution, wetland drainage, and conversion for crop production, etc., have led to acceleration in degradation of wetlands, especially in the Mekong Delta, which is a very famous wetland in Vietnam. So according to a 2010 map, which is the study, it says that Vietnam has about 13,048 kilometers square of degraded land. So again, you can see that despite all the legislations, despite all the commitments, it's not working again. So in Democratic Republic of Congo, again, it's a country in Africa. It represents about 10% of the world's forests, and it has a network of protected areas which constitute about 13.3% of the national territory. But again, ecosystems are under threat from issues like deforestation, heavy metal pollution, and land degradation from mining and climate-induced natural disasters. So a study has concluded that deforestation is going to affect between 13 and 12 million hectares by 2030, decreasing the DRC's forest cover from a total of 145 million hectares to 132 million hectares. But compared to the other countries like Vietnam and Bolivia, you can see that there is a lack of proper legislative framework in DRC. So even though it has a national voluntary LDN targets, it has a couple of programs started by the World Bank and the African Development Bank, still the lack of a proper institutional setup, DRC is facing a lot of problems. Like, for instance, there's a study conducted by Beneath the Green, a critical look at the cost of industrial cobalt mining in the DRC. It has concluded that the industrial cobalt mining taking place in DRC has affected the human rights of Congolese people, and it has also affected the ecosystem around ecosystems in DRC. So it is said that cobalt is a key mineral in green energy transition, but it is a mineral that is polluting the ecosystems in DRC. So clearly you can see that the DRC government has failed to address the environmental concerns in the region. So from all these case studies, Vietnam, Bolivia, and DRC, you can see that a strong legal and policy framework is inevitable to meet the targets of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So despite international commitments, institutional setup, and community initiatives, the countries failed to meet their targets due to unprecedented disasters like forest fires and anthropogenic activities like mining. You can also see that there is a clear research gap on the nexus between the legal framework, political institutions, and ecosystem restoration. So some of my recommendations would be for this to address this issue is there should be a multi-stakeholder partnership involving government, civil society organizations, academia, and the private sector, strengthened by a legal framework. And also we need to strengthen all the relevant governance instruments, be it laws, regulations, policies, strategies, and plans. It should be mapped, adapted, and integrated in the planning and implementation of ecosystem restoration projects. For instance, the organization that I interned at, the G20 Global Land Initiative, UNCCD, conducts a Global Changemaker Academy for parliamentarians so that they can know more about how land restoration is done. Also, another very important thing to do is to empower local communities to engage in ecosystem restoration and facilitate exchange of traditional knowledge regarding indigenous practices on ecosystem restoration. Again, the G20 Global Land Initiative conducts a lot of initiatives regarding this. And last and but not the least, again, we should increase funding for local governments and civil society organizations so that they can engage in a lot of projects in ecosystem restoration. So I would like to conclude with a quote by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. We heedlessly plunder the Earth's resources, deplete its wildlife, and treat air, land, and seas as dumping grounds. Crucial ecosystems and food chains are being pushed to the brink of collapse. This is suicidal. We must end our war on nature and nurse it back to health, which is why I feel it is inevitable that we strengthen the policy and legal framework so that governments, civil society, and more people can engage in ecosystem restoration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwina. It was a wonderful presentation from your side. I think really it was good to hear that you presented the case studies of 3 countries like Bolivia, Vietnam, and then the Republic of Congo. And it was good to hear that you emphasized on how the multi-stakeholders should come forward and then collaborate to solve the problem, especially on the ecosystem restoration. Which is really required, and that requires the action from all the people in a united way, not in a silos manner. And then the land degradation is really a big issue. Forest fire is happening around the world in many countries, and that is really the need of our to preserve the forest and to stop the land degradation which is happening. So this was very good to hear. Just for a short question, if anybody is having any short question from Nasima, we can take up. Yes, please, go ahead. Yeah.
So I have a question. So my name is Mibit. So I have a question is regarding, you said about like importance of multiple stakeholders being involved and importance of like in ecosystem restoration and so on. So could you mention some case studies? Like you mentioned all these, like they have done like some community initiatives. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So you mentioned about different countries and case studies. So could you mention any of the example of some of these initiatives which can be taken if you have any in your, if you remember in your mind, because you have mentioned all these recommendations like multi-stakeholder approach and everything, but if you could mention a practical implementation of this, that would be nice.
Yes, sure. So the organization that I interned at, which is the G20 Global Land Initiative UNCCD, is actually having a global change maker academy for parliamentarians. So this is a 5-day session which actually brings all the parliamentarians around the world to Bonn, and the organization actually gives them training in land restoration so that when they go back to their countries, they can implement all the policies that they have learned about. So this is something that, which I felt was very innovative and practical, because I feel that no matter whatever policies you have, no matter whatever research you have, the first I think we need is to train the people who control the government, or basically the people in power. They need to be enlightened more about ecosystem restoration. So I think this is like a very good way to actually to make sure that we implement ecosystem restoration projects all around the world. Also, we have these ecopreneur awards where people who engage in land restoration, people who have projects related to land restoration or startups related to land restoration, are given funding by the G20 Global Land Initiative, which is again, I feel, a very good way to make sure that the people who involved in land restoration are given the impetus to engage more in land restoration. And again, third thing, we are actually developing courses on land restoration. So again, as I mentioned before, the multi-stakeholder partnership, we need academia as well. We need academia to disseminate knowledge about land restoration. So I feel like these 3 initiatives are very good initiatives, which is being done by the organization that I interned at. So yeah.
Thank you. It was a very good and lively session, and I really appreciate you could not come here and you struggled to share your slide, but your audio was very clear and it has given a very good insight into the problems, whatever you have highlighted, and I think all of us have really enriched our knowledge from your presentations. Thank you very much, Ashwina. Again,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. So we move to the next speaker now. We have now Ms. Ankita Menon. So I invite you. Then you present. She is consultant in Invest India and Sankala Center for Climate and Sustainability. Yeah. Can you move now? You want to hear? Okay. छोड़ दो आप छोड़ दो यही बैठ में
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I am not yet sure how to address the elephant in the room because it exists here. I'm going to speak about clean drinking water. And ma'am, you, as you rightly said, that youngsters are missing from the issue of highlighting the water energy nexus. But I'm afraid that youngsters are put in the side event. So it's very difficult for us to engage with the bright minds who are existing in the other hall. So it's very important that we actually would have collaborated and not been in silos. The presentation, please. Right.
You know, initially when I was working in the child sector, we spoke about child and, you know, cyber safety and all. We were also put in a side shift. Now we have full conferences on this issue. So it takes about 2-3 years for any new initiative to sort of develop and to. It starts small always.
Right. Yeah, so I'm preferring quality over quantity today. And I'm going to start my presentation.
Don't take it as a side event, although it is written. I would suggest that you have a positive mindset.
Absolutely.
And take this as a parallel event. So
Right.
you are in a parallel session to other equally important, not as a side event.
As a sociologist, when I started my PhD and I asked my professor that I'm going to work on water, he was like, as a sociologist, you're going to work on water. This doesn't make any sense to full of the center and you have to rethink. And I told them that no, I cannot rethink because water is society's the most important actor. And so when you establish that actor-nectar network theory, it is very pertinent that we speak about water, the issue that needs, I mean, we need water, but it's time where water needs us. So here I would start. Starting with a very basic question for a basic need. How many houses are there in India? Any idea? Rough guess? 2 billion? Anyone else? Yes? 1 billion houses? What's the population of India? So how can be 1 billion houses if the population is, I mean, of course we belong from nuclear families and very few people are living alone on rent. Okay. So the answer is we don't know because the census was conducted in 2011 and we don't have the right answer to it. But from 2011, the total number of houses in India is 330 million. And of course, we can add on to what we think, what must have progressed in all these years. you can see that the rural houses are about 220 million, which is almost double the houses that the urban India has. According to the Jal Jeevan Mission dashboard, which was central scheme to provide safe, clean drinking water to the rural households of India, as on August 2019, from the dashboard, it says that we had around 193 million houses in the rural India. And also that only 32 million houses or households, because I cannot mix it because there is a technical understanding of a household, which is seen by the number of chulas we have. So only 32 million households had access to safe, clean tap water, while all others did not have. But as of 4th of December, which was yesterday, about 153 million households have access to safe, clean tap water. Now, when we link water and energy, I would want you to think about the energy usage that goes in putting clean tap waters to each and every household of India. Any idea? Rough? Which also includes the energy used for water extraction, conveyance, treatment, distribution, and wastewater management. Any rough estimate? You can Google. Well, we don't have answer to this because we hardly ever measured what energy goes to bring safe tap water to each and every household of India. Well, there still can be an answer thinking about the case studies which have happened in India over these years. And from 2022, there was a study conducted by Roorkee people for Dehradun. And they came up to a conclusion that the total energy used in a year, which of course included the water extraction, conveyance, treatment, distribution, wastewater treatment, was about 82 gigawatt hours per annum. Now, if we have to simplify this, it means that if one light bulb uses about 60 watts of energy, the kind you might use in your lamp, 82 gigawatt hours is like keeping about 1.37 billion light bulbs for an entire year. And this we are speaking only about Dehradun. Out of that, 92.8% of the total energy in was only and only used for water extraction. And mind you, we have 80% of the clean tap water sources being groundwater in India, and others are fresh water. 92% of this is used for groundwater extraction and direct distribution to the colonies, followed by the energy used in water treatment plants, which only is about 4% share, as only surface water is treated in the water treatment plant. Most of the distribution in Dehradun is by gravity, hence energy uses only 3% of the total energy. And wastewater treatment, which is what we all are talking about, a concept that is existing in almost all the conferences, seminars, and even in our textbooks, which is circularity, circular economy. And Mission Life actually is running because of this concept, which is the circular economy of water. So you can see that wastewater treatment uses only 3% of the energy. So if we have to ask ChatGPT of the understanding of what a Dehradun city's energy consumption looks like and what would be India's total average approximate energy consumption when it comes to drinking water supply in households of India, it would be approximately 49 or let's say 5 terawatt hours, which I asked ChatGPT if it could like just simplify that to me, which meant charging smartphones. One smartphone uses about 10 watt hours of energy to be fully charged. So this amount of energy could charge 4.92 billion smartphones from 0 to 100% for an entire year. About running light bulbs, it recommended that one light bulb uses 0.06 kilowatt hours per hour. With 49.2 terawatt hours, you could keep 820 billion light bulbs running for 1 hour. Or you could keep 93.6 million light bulbs running for an entire year. That's like lighting up half the planet for a whole year. And because we are talking about electric cars, one electric car uses about 30 kilowatt hours of energy to travel 100 miles. So with this amount of energy, we could actually make 1.64 billion electric cars drive 100 miles every single day for an entire year. And about watering farms, one irrigation system for watering a farm uses about 10 kilowatt hours of energy per day. With this much amount of energy, we could actually water 8.24 million farms every day for the whole year. But all of this consumption of providing clean tap water, as it's been realized, for what? You would see, and studies have also figured out by the surveys that happen in India almost every year, giving us the reality check that only 2% of Indians get water fit for drinking from their taps. I'm sure that a survey over here can also be done where we also realize that almost all of our households have at least an RO machine or some device which is actually cleaning the water that comes from our municipal corporation, suggesting that all the water that comes from our municipal corporations or from the Jal boards is actually not safe for consumption, as against the countries which call themselves developed have a clean tap water actually running from their faucets in the washrooms and also from their kitchens. And of course, the survey highlighted that 34% of the people were using water purifiers, RO systems, chlorination issues for alums and other minerals, and sometimes even resorting to boiling or using clay vessels, which is the matka. And then, of course, because we are the privileged ones, we could actually purchase a bottle of water when we were thirsty and we wanted to have a clean, safe tap. Sorry, we could not have a source to us, so we resorted to having bottled water. And my MPhil dissertation was all about bottled water industry, where I highlighted how it was growing, actually booming. And you must also realize that when we started to have Kinley water bottles or Bisleri water bottles, 1 liter of Bisleri actually cost us, I would say, 10 rupees. And today the same bottle stands for 20 bucks within a span of 10 years, a decade, and the price has doubled. So Beck, in his beautiful work, Risk Society, actually talks about how risks always accumulate at the bottom. And while the rich or the people who are affluent can actually purchase safety from the risk, but it's very difficult for the ones who can not even imagine their lives having clean tap water because they cannot, their whole salaries are about 100 rupees per month. So how can they even afford 20 rupees of bottle if they have to purchase safety from the risks only by resorting to a commodity? So while we have actually accepted a human right as a commodity because bottled water industry has actually grown in a great way from the last 30 years, and India's almost all brands are actually putting it in front of us and also manufacturing a consent to us that it's actually safe and it's convenient, and of course it is with added minerals and coming from Himalayas or whatever, whatnot. So all of these things have been given to us as that we are actually purchasing not just safety but purity and also good health. So according to the estimates, global water market is around 500 billion liters per year. And so if each liter of water is bottled in a PET plastic bottle, it takes about 0.2 kilowatt hours to produce each bottle. So we calculate the total energy consumption globally, which would be around 100 terawatt hours. So put it in perspective, 100 terawatt hours is about 1.5 times the annual electricity consumption of India, which uses around 70 to 80 terawatt hours annually for its entire population. Of course, it's enough to power around 30 million homes for an entire year. This is the amount of energy that the plastic And then, and of course, mind you, this doesn't include the price of transportation, putting into all the villages, from the local to the global, wherever you're putting it. This energy consumption does not include that. It's only the manufacturing cost of energy, not what includes in transportation. Now, coming back to the question of safety, which I highlighted in my dissertation in 2017 with the reports that came from Baba Atomic Energy Center, which said that 30 samples were being taken, and out of those, 21 samples did not qualify the right standards. Even BIS, because BIS standards are even lesser in, approach as international standards. So they did not even qualify the BIS standards. And just a day ago, we have bottled water as a high-risk food, as India's Food Safety Authority has reclassified packaged drinking water unsafe for consumption. So there are so many parameters that just yesterday have come up with telling us the story of what actually goes with the plastic, the water that is inside of it, because we never questioned. Basically, our rationality ends when we actually find something which is transparent in a bottle. That's where our rationality as a consumer ends. But the naked eye cannot see beyond that, right? So if I am giving you a bottle of water, of course, if it looks great to you, you're going to say that it's safe and pure. But what goes inside of it, how many microplastics are leached when a packet of bottled water is placed outside in the sun, is something that we do not know of. It's only that a bottled water has to be put inside a very different decent temperatures. Otherwise, when you see shopkeepers putting quite a lot of bottled water outside their shops and then just taking one out or putting it in the refrigerator, there's so much of microplastics which has already leached into that bottled water, which of course is getting you all the type of cancers in and around you, which of course is the reason of the fetus which is not even born having so much of issues with their organs. So all of that is happening, but the doctors are not going to say, oh my God, you are using a bottle of water which has microplastics in it. That's not gonna happen. It's a realization of a consumer and also a citizen to understand the difference between the two. So my question to all of you is if we are going ahead with the citizen's demand or we are going with the consumer's choice, because India, under its right to life, fundamental right, qualifies most of the judgments that have come up till now in the Supreme Court and even in the high courts have always suggested that drinking water, clean, safe drinking water, to be put as a fundamental right. But here is a tough choice, a tough calling that we have to make. Why? Because most of the times what happens is that we are living a convenient lifestyle and we are okay not even checking that why do we need a reverse osmosis machine in our houses per se. Do we need it, or we are okay with a normal filter? Most of the times you do not even need it because it is mostly required at the places where there are where there is excessive fluoride or let's say very high TDS. So all of these choices that we make as a consumer, we always, if there is a consumer in making, I would say that there is a citizen in breaking. Because at the same time, when you actually pay your taxes and put your salaries to function for such a huge mission, or let's say government schemes like Jal Jeevan Mission, it came with the outlay of 3.60 lakh crore rupees in 2019. And its full function was to actually give 100% tap water connections to each and every rural household. And as it boasts that we have reached 80% of the population, 80% of the rural households, we are yet to understand that what do we actually give them back for the JGM phase 2, because 5 years are already done. How do we perceive this? How do we put the policy frameworks for a mission which is done for its 5 years? It claims that 17% of the rural households only and only had a clean, safe tap water connection, and now it has reached to 80%. The dashboard, there are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. And at times, of course, maybe the success story would be around 40 to 50%, or let's say 55 to 60%. But one size fits all is not the story of India. It's very important for us that we realize that safe, clean drinking water is actually moving towards becoming more of a commodity and less of a human right or a fundamental right. In midst of this, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, or we talk about Atal Mission, or we talk about Jal Jeevan Mission, there are so many questions that we work with. We try to formalize those in terms of questions to the people who are working on ground or with the center. And at the same time, we also look at us as consumers or citizens. Because I did my PhD in Rajasthan and I stayed for 2 years in a village. Yes, I stayed 2 years in a village and did my ethnography. I tried to understand what a village looks like when it connects with water. And to my surprise, when I visited, this village actually had an industrial area of about 250 factories which were working in the heart of the village in Rajasthan. And most of the factories were water intensive, quite contrary to the picture you have of Rajasthan, because it's a desert state. So Kala Dera, the village I'm talking about, it had industries, it had Coca-Cola, it had Pernod Ricard, which is a French company and makes Rajasthan liquors. And then so many paper and pulp factories, which are the most water intensive industries you will ever find. So a truck that goes from the one side carries Bisleri water, and there, just opposite to that, there is a village which actually keeps payau and matkas for you to consume that water. And I think that this is a tradition of keeping matka or earthen pots because they want to give water as a gift, as contrary to the work of commodity that we are understanding. But no, there is much more to that story. The earthen pot, matka, and the clay used in it, the villagers told me that there is something very much more to what just as a storage thing. It actually exhales the excessive TDS and fluoride. And I was like, this cannot be true because there is no science to it. But their constant reminder that no, it does, made me actually Google and understand that, of course, there has been a study from IIT Jodhpur. They have actually figured out that the clay actually has the potential to clear out fluoride, arsenic, and excessive TDS, making the appearance of matka whitish in the outer appearance. So when such kind of studies are not given right enough emphasis, and we still work on technologies, bringing them from other countries, since right now I am working as a consultant with Indo-Nordic Water Forum, and we try to tell the government how the Nordic countries have done exceptionally well when it comes to their rivers, their water, their safety protocols. It's very important that we also go local, because there are so many technologies that exist and so many innovations that are yet wanting to be absorbed by the Indian policymakers, which is where I would want to, in my submission, I would like to ask all of us to use our sociological imagination, where we can look at our own households, we can look at our houses if we are actually having rainwater harvesting units, because that's a mandatory call we all have to make when we go to get our clearance for a naksha or a map that we have to make a house. And we hardly abide by those. Also solar panels, we are thinking about energy consumptions and telling the governments what they are supposed to do. It's very important that as November 30 was also actually termed as Individual Social Responsibility Day, it's very important that we marry both the individual and the corporates, because it's only when we will know our responsibility will the corporates know what their CSR funding has to go, because that's a very important issue when it comes to energy efficiency and putting all these risk behaviors at a bay. CSR is something which has to come from a company where they are operating. Most of the times you will find these multinational organizations working in a village-like structure and giving their CSR in Mumbai or let's say Pune. But it's very important that they put their CSR activities in and around the place where they are working. And in the end, of course, as I said about rainwater harvesting and solar panels, putting in our own places and trying to conserve our water, wastewater treatments, and not flushing 20 to 30 liters of water every day just to keep some, a portion of your shit outside of your house. Biogas plants, they are not existing. Needless to say, the societies are not incorporating those despite the notices that come to all these municipalities. It's very important that we marry both our traditions and modernity and marry individual with society and corporate social responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very good presentation, especially linking the water and the energy, and then the bringing the nature-based solution and sociology concept, in solving some of the problem related to the water issues. So, anyone is having any short question? Yes.
You've given a very good analogy, especially related the energy thing. I have a small question for you. We have talked a lot about the problems, but for a city like Delhi, which is growing very fast in case of urbanization, can I would like to know your insights. Like you said that less than 2% of the people are having safe drinking water through the taps. For a city like Delhi, where the matka or this thing is relatively not possible, what is your insight? What would be your insights and you use that we can make safe? Like you said, that even for the BIS limits, which are relatively flexible as compared to the USPA or WHO standards, even that, barring that, even that we are not able to reach, what would be your insight for a city like which is very urban, how we can make it at a better standards?
A great question, and I've been living in Delhi from the last 8, 9 years, and I ask myself the same thing. I would say again, I would use my sociological imagination of the observation that I have had all these years. Whenever you see a water tanker that is going on the streets of Delhi, you would always find that it's leaking. Delhi is more about leakages, faulty pipelines, and the water of safety. I would say it's still safe. Some of the times you would not even realize that the water that comes is almost safe, but it only needs one simple filter to be used on the top of it. But we have still used RO machines because we think that it's safe to be put in our houses. We don't even need it. It does more damage than what it actually saves you from anything. Just yesterday, to my shock, the RO guy was there at my own house. And I checked the RO and it was at 5. I'd never checked my own RO. And I was completely shocked at myself. And I told him that, so he said, Ki kitna karu, madam? I was like, at least, put it on 60 or 70. Because 50 and 150, 50 to 150 parts per million is the safest for TDS. I would say, please go and check your ROs. They do more damage to the water that comes with minerals already. And you're putting an RO and decreasing it to 5 or 6. That is one. And of course, I would suggest that we, like these kind of conferences, we need to have technical conferences with Delhi Jal Board and all other parameters of where we actually need to marry science with these sort of questions that are coming to us. That where is it safe and how much is it safe? Then is, of course, the Yamuna and Ganga waters that flow to us. We cannot just do anything but to accept them as the wastewater, which is reclaimed and then, reused for us to be put in our taps. That would be my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we have come to the end of this session. So I think from our panelists, if you would like to give any short comments, Mr. MP Singh, you missed in the beginning. So if you want to say in short, he's the one.
Yes, thank you very much, and my apologies for coming late here. Basically, I was there in the main hall and I was meeting with my bureaucrat friends. So sorry for that. uh, Based on my experience, basically, I wish to just say one thing, that still we lack in giving the respect to the water or energy or environment. And there is a strong need for this particular word, respect. When we say about this respect, that means we must understand very clearly that how much precious this water, energy or environment it is. So that is the one aspect. Second thing is that to fight with this all kind of the complicated problems or issues which we have been discussing in this technical session, I think one of the very, very important aspect is the public outreach program, public participation or awareness. Unless we have this particular component incorporated in all our plans or executions or everywhere, I think this sector's sustainability is really doubtful. And lastly, I would say that capacity building of the institutions, that is also very, very important, which must be taken on the priority. And only after that, this sustainable use or sustainable water, energy, environment can be handled. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You also want to know? Okay, so I think this was a great time in this event. Huh? Which one? But you did not say in the beginning that you are. Came later. Ah. Okay, sorry to. I I seek apology from all of the audience here. We got this one more presentation. Please bear with us. She came late, but now we have this young. Yes, and then we would like to hear young mind. Your name, please? Sir, Sonam Singh.
Yes, it was.
Okay, yeah.
It was.
Sonam Wadwan. Yeah.
No, sir, saying it's written wrong.
Wrong. You're Sonam Singh.
Yes.
Oh, so we have Miss Sonam Singh. She is from School of Advanced Engineering, UPS, Dehradun. So, please. Come. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am Sonam Singh and I am a researcher. Firstly, I am very happy and privileged to be here and present my topic. Basically, I work on nanotechnology and development of nanomaterials for removal and detection of water contaminants. And today I'm going to present this work where I have developed a biomass-based pine amexine nanomaterial for the removal of ciprofloxacin from aqua system or water. And I am working with Dr. Ashish Mathur. He's my supervisor during my PhD. So firstly, what is ciprofloxacin? So ciprofloxacin is an antibiotic. It works by killing the bacterial infection, and it works on a variety of bacterial infection. That is, it is a broad spectrum of antibiotic. And the ciprofloxacin consumption in global, if we see, it is around 637 units per 1,000 population, while in developing nation, it is around more than 1419 to 1593 units in developing countries. India is also one of the third largest producer and manufacturer of ciprofloxacin, and the demand for ciprofloxacin is going to be increased by 2013 around 84%. And there have been many studies which shows that ciprofloxacin is found in soil sediments as well as in water bodies. And this is one of the paper which is published in Nature, which shows that out of most of the antibiotics that are found in surface water, ciprofloxacin is 50%, the amount is more than 50% for ciprofloxacin. So this brings us to the next question, that its removal is necessary. But why it is necessary is also another question. So when a ciprofloxacin is administered into a human body, what happens? It gets excreted out directly into form of urine or feces. This urine or feces will enter our water system or water bodies. It will also enter into the wastewater plant, and from the water bodies, it enters into our soil also because it leaches out. And when ciprofloxacin is present in the water bodies, what it does, it actually affects the aquatic system, because it degrades their life cycle, their reproduction, their survival, and it also results in development of antibiotic resistant gene, which means that they become immune to the antibiotics, or we also become immune. Like in COVID, we are using so much of paracetamols, we have become immune to these now. So then when present in human body, the excessive consumption also leads to other disorders like the liver disorder and the heart disorder. So their removal is actually necessary. And for the removal purpose, various techniques have been employed based on whether they are physical, chemical, or biological. For example, membrane filtration, where we develop a membrane and inject with ions so that it particularly removes the ciprofloxacin. Then biodegradation, where microorganisms are used for degrading the molecule. Then oxidation process, again it is broken down into smaller particles. And electrochemical degradation, adsorption process, like how we use tissue to adsorb water. These also have some limitations, the regeneration of these material is a challenge. Then if we take biodegradation, the process is very slow and also depends upon the environment. Then membrane fouling is there. Also, if we use electrochemical or oxidative process, then the amount of energy is very high. So we need to develop a material which can actually remove ciprofloxacin, but is also eco-friendly and natural one. Since I am doing my PhD in UPS Dehradun, so most of the area of Uttarakhand or Dehradun is covered with forest only, like more than 71% of it. And out of that 71%, 16% is covered with the pine forest, or the species called chir pine. And there are varieties of pine, and each and every part of pine is very useful, be it the needle, the cone, or the resin we obtain from pine. So what we did is that we have taken pine from the nearby area, we have dried it, and then we mixed with our nanomaterial. So here we are mixing with nanomaterial because we want to further improve the removal of ciprofloxacin. So we have mixed by simple ball milling method, which is basically how we use atta chakki. We make atta from wheat, that process. Then this nanomaterial is used for removal purpose. And we have tested in various experimental setup, like by varying the pH, the adsorbent dose, like the nanomaterial we are adding, how much we are adding that dose, the temperature and time. So this is the process of making the material. So we have taken pine, we have dried it in sun, and then we have grinded by simple grinding process. We have prepared our nanomaterial, and we have mixed these two material together to obtain the adsorbent, which will be useful for removing of ciprofloxacin. This mixing is also we have done in various stages. Like we have added, for example, if I am taking 100 mg of the material, then I will add 5 mg of the amexine, 10 mg, 15 mg, and 25 mg. But I will not add more than that, because then the whole concept of making it natural will be removed. So we have to limit somewhere, but also we have to make it to a point where the removal is significant for us. And then we study the removal using basic UV visible instrument. The first image is the pine. It is the pine structure, while the second one is the amexine structure, which is the layered structure. So this layered structure will further help in adsorption, because in between the layer, the molecule will get absorbed and further improves the removal. These are some set of experiments that we have conducted. There are 27 experiments, and through this experiment, these are using simulation studies. So we obtained that around 95% removal is seen, and then we have performed actually these experiments. Other than that, we have also done in how much time we want to remove ciprofloxacin, but also at a faster rate. So for that purpose, we have taken a 24-hour study, but we see that the maximum adsorption can take place within the first 8 hours. Also, we study how our material is acting, like our material is positively charged, so it will interact with the negatively charged ciprofloxacin better and will help in further removal. These are some of the graphs which shows the interdependency of various parameters. Like if we increase the pH up to a certain level, that is up to 7, the removal will be increased. The temperature is like 298 Kelvin, which is optimum. Further, the concentration of ciprofloxacin is also affecting, so it should not be very high, because then there won't be that much of nanomaterial for removal purpose. And from our experimental study and simulation study, this is the optimized parameters which we have obtained, where the percentage removal is around 98%. And these are some of the graphs which are useful for us for calculating how the mechanism is taking place, how the reaction is taking in our case. And this is the mechanism, which is simply that some hydrogen bonding is taking place between the ciprofloxacin and the nanomaterial. And we have also performed the interference study, because when we are trying to remove the ciprofloxacin in the water or aqueous system, it won't be alone. It will be with other contaminant also. So we have taken sodium, calcium, chloride, and sulfate. And what we observe is that the removal is not affecting that much. Also, we have studied the adsorption cycle, because we do not want to synthesize every time. We want the same material can be used again and again. So through this, we can see that up to 5 times, like we can get a good adsorption or removal of ciprofloxacin. And this is the conclusion, that is the percentage removal from this material is around 98%, and regeneration is 5 times. And since it is the material we are making from pine, so pine is one of the underutilized and a waste product in the forest area. So it is helpful in that way. Secondly, we do not want to keep it to the academic and paperwork only. So what we are trying to do is, we are trying to develop a filtration system which can be directly connected to the tap. Like how we say, we have some, like how we connect the pipes to our tap, that system we'll make in 3 layers. Like one we'll use activated carbon, then we have a pine amexine layer, and then a mesh layer for the removal. Another work is that we, the people who are in defense or like DRDO have also, like we are working with them also. So we will make this composite or nanomaterial in a form of a pellet. So it can be directly added into the water bottle, and it will remove. So you can directly remove the pellet, and that contaminant which is present in your water will be removed off. So that is like what we are trying to do. And this is my lab, that is sensor fabrication lab in UPS, and my lab mates. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonam Singh. It was a wonderful presentation. Especially, I congratulate her for working in the area of emerging contaminant. This is, you see, the pharma products are something which are neglected currently in India, and where there are very few work that people are working on the how to remove this emerging contaminant, particularly the pharmaceutical products. And this is one of the pharma product on which she is working, and very good. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so before closing, I think we have another further younger group. Okay, so I think now Chair Astuti Kakar Madam will be more happy to see more younger people. Okay, so these younger people are basically from Darwari Lal DAV Public School in Pitampura, and they would like to recite a poem. So welcome, please come, and we'll be very happy to hear you. Yeah.
My humble greetings to all the respected dignitaries present in this meeting. Myself, Athar Sharma, and my friend Vanshika Karla, we are the members. She is the president, and I am the treasurer of Interact Club DLEV Pitampura. And I am here to spread the awareness of water with a poem. So, Hota neer bada nirmal hai, har पेयजल गंगा जल है, व्यर्थ ना जल बहाओ, अपनी आदत में करो सुधार, जल है जीवन का आधार, जल है जीवन का आधार। जल बिना जगत सूना है, जल बिना जगत सूना है, जल ही पावन धन है, जल बिना जीवन ना होगा, जल ही तो जीवन है। जल से ही सारे जीव हैं, जल हरियाली की नींव है, जल से ही संसार है, जल अमृत की धार है। जल संरक्षण करने को आओ मिलकर करे विचार, जल है जीवन का आधार, जल है जीवन का आधार। थैंक यू।
Good afternoon once again. So as he told you, we are also community advocates. So I'd like to talk about a few of our projects that we do for community service, as I believe everyone here is doing something for the community. Fighting hunger, we let hope soar through roti banks and so much more. Good health, we nurture with care and time, from thalassemia aid to Ayurveda's prime. Books we donate for minds to explore, each one teach one, unlocking doors. Water conserved, no drop we waste. Gardens thrive, in water we save. On World Polio Day, we marched with pride, raising awareness far and wide. Eco bricks and trees, our climate call, Swachhta Abhiyan and milk packets uniting us all. With Patrika, we renew and recreate, paper transformed into to inspire and narrate. For peace and justice, we build strong ties through national cultural exchange beneath shared skies. Oh, Interact Club, your work is art. SDGs thrive with your noble heart. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Wonderful. This was a very good poem. Both were very energetic, and you can see the power of the youth and belief of the youth. So they are ready to change the world, and don't underestimate the power of young youth, isn't it? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So with this, I would like to close this session, and thank you very much to all the presenters. And it was a wonderful session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
We would also like to join, if you don't mind.
Oh, please come. No problem. Sonam. Sonam, Himanshu, and Siege.
I told you difficult name.
Not so difficult. What is your name?
Nobody can
Ankita. This is Ankita, not difficult.
I have a difficult name, so I understand these problems.
Yes.
All Punjabi people want to call me Sakuti.